Hello, friends. Welcome to the Multidimensional Human Podcast. I am your host, Rachel Archelaus, and I'm doing things a little differently this time. I'm having a video version available. And what I love about this podcast is that I don't usually do video, and so I feel more open, like I'm just talking to you on the phone. But I want to see if it gets in the way because I figured you might want to see things. I'm not wearing makeup. I have my crusty sweatshirt on that I wear every single day. So I'm keeping the vibes true. If you were to call me right now, this is exactly what I would look like. I also want to talk about something vast: soulmates, twin flames, and life partners. And I'm making this now because I am getting married. My partner and I have been together for almost 14 years. We have been happy life partners for most of it. Things always happen in relationships. But we've come to an amazing place. We communicate well, and we decided to get married. So that's happening sometime this year. I finally feel like I can talk about all of this stuff really openly because I'm in such a great place with him, because I would never want to talk about the past in a way that would diminish or make someone jealous or give the wrong impression, even though I know I cannot control that. We're going to talk about soulmates and my experience with them. I had like a movie-worthy romance, if you want to call it that. If you read my pilot, you'll know, but when I moved to a new city when I was 14, I started high school in a new place. I didn't know anyone but the younger kids in my neighborhood. So I started fresh, and even though I'm psychic, and when my mom brought me to orientation the day before school started, I saw two kids talking outside the school, and I said, ooh, I'm going to be friends with them. And I was. I basically became friends with the smart freaks. The kind of bad kids who were also in AP classes. Like, those were my homies. And we got into all kinds of trouble together. We drank and smoked pot and smoked cigarettes and went to parties. And I had, a pretty, I would say it was tame, compared to my parents who grew up in the 60s and 70s. But compared to my sister, I was like a total wild child. I happened to meet a friend that was in that group kind of on the outside. Like, he was the weird one. But I kind of, from the moment I saw him, I knew I was going to marry that dude. I just knew. It's so interesting how energetic all of this is, right? So I'm using the word soulmate because it wasn't even like I knew him or was really even attracted to him in a conventional way. It was just a knowing. And if that happened again today, I feel like I would be much more rational about it. We'll get into why that would be a good idea. But at the time, I saw this person and I was like, oh, that is it. It's over. And it was the same for him. The same for him. We didn't immediately get engaged. We were children, and he was dating someone else for a very long time. But we started passing notes. We started realizing we had a lot in common. We went to the mall. We did high school things, and sometimes we were at the same party. But I always had this drive in me to express myself to him. I would write him 40-page notes. I would talk his ear off anytime we were at a party together. I would sew him little crafts and make him candles, and I was weird, very weird. So was he. He was really, really, really weird. Everyone sort of treated him kind of like an outsider, but like the resident weirdo. And I don't say that in a mean way. That's just the fact. So eventually, we both ended up being single. And the reason I ended up being single was because I wrote a journal entry in my electronic journal on my computer, and my boyfriend read it. And it said basically that I was like saving myself for this person and that he was my soulmate and we were going to get married, even though he's not the marrying type. Like I knew the whole time that I was basically obsessed with this person, that this was not a good idea. All of my friends, once we actually started dating, all of my friends told me this was a terrible idea, but I could not agree. I just, like, I agreed, but I didn't agree. I had a one-track mind, and it was him, and there was nothing stopping me. So basically, after all of this, like, notes and talks and, sort of hanging out, but not really hanging out that often, he became single. I became single. I wrote him a letter of my love. I ripped it into pieces. I stuffed a pillow with it, a little pillow. I made a pillow. I stuffed it with other paper shreds and the note, sewed it up, left it on his doorstep, and anyone else would just sort of like take the pillow in, maybe put it on their bed, maybe throw it out because they didn't know who it was from. No, but this person opened the pillow, found the note, put the note together, and immediately called me. And, you know, that is kind of why we ended up together. He called me at my mom's house, and I must have put my phone number in there, and basically said that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me. He didn't basically say that, he actually said that. And that was it. We didn't even go on a date before we were basically engaged. And that is just how that energy felt. It was so strong. I remember being in my very long driveway one day and looking ahead, and because I'm extrasensory and I see things, not my actual mind's eye, but I guess my third eye, I saw like two wisps curling together, like spiraling together in the air, like our two souls were playing and merging. And when I kissed him, I could go into his body like with my energy, and I could like go in back and forth. It was really cool. We had a lot of really great experiences where we would take a walk in the woods and we'd see the same spirit creature. One time we saw a Pegasus ahead of us on the trail. And it's so cool to see the same thing as someone else. I also had an angel guide for a little while named Maximus, and he was aware of my partner too. And it was just like being able to talk about that and share that with someone was what I thought brought us together. And there's so much more, but I really don't want to reveal, privacy and get into, there is not enough time in the world to actually tell you everything. So if you want to know more, I can tell you more, and it's separate event. But we did eventually get married, and by the time we got married, like it wasn't a happy relationship, really. We did not consummate our marriage when we got married on the day. We like went out to a really sad dinner with our parents. We weren't sad, like we were happy, but it was just, we were children, and we were very traumatized children. We were very broken children, and it just didn't really get better. It just kept getting worse and worse. We didn't know how to communicate. We struggled at managing our finances, and those real life things get in the way of energy. Like if you don't pay your bills, you're going to be homeless. And it's kind of hard to be happy and, thriving, especially if you can't do those things. So we just had a really hard time connecting physically and being humans in a physical world. That wasn't our strong suit. And so we just really drifted apart. And as I reclaimed some self-confidence, so I started doing readings, I started getting back into doing art, going to college, he just kept kind of going backwards. And, the kid went through a lot, and so I can totally understand it now. And, it is what it is. But it obviously wasn't healthy, and it wasn't loving. There really wasn't a lot of love. I know we both tried, but there just wasn't a lot to give. So after many grueling years, I got a divorce. And I really should have done it a long time beforehand, but I was really trying to make it work. I was trying to make that till death do us part thing happen, but it just wasn't worth it. And I'm glad, obviously, that I got a divorce. It also really broke my confidence to get a divorce from the person that I thought was destined for me. I mean, there was no question that this was the person for me. I would not have rested until I was married to that person. And there were a lot of really great things that happened, but life got in the way, and, we just went in separate directions. I kind of did it again after that. I think overlapping that. I never cheated on him, but I became enthralled with someone else while I was still married. It's funny. It was so big again. So if anyone is familiar with the term limerence is really an obsession. It doesn't have rationale. It's like very, very strong feelings for someone where even rationally you're like, I don't know why my feelings are so strong. I don't even know this person. So it happened to me again, right? While I was married, I met someone who, when I felt them walk past me, when I felt their energy for the first time, I was like, oh my God, like that is home. That is my home. And I wasn't even thinking he is my home. I was thinking that energy is my home. Where is that energy coming from? It was like a wild ocean in another universe. Like that is what it felt like. And I really, really tried not to let it get to me. I really, really, really tried not to fall into the trap of repeating that pattern of just like irrationally falling in love with someone. But again, started emailing each other, started realizing we had things in common, started developing feelings. And it's an interesting case because I never talked to this person on the phone. I never texted them. I never met them outside of where I knew them. And so I really had no basis whatsoever to have such strong feelings. And I knew it, but it really gets to you. And when I did some intuitive art about it, because at this time I was back into my art, back into writing and blogging and all of that, doing readings at a metaphysical center, really trying to find myself, straighten myself out, get myself back in track. And so I was going in a good direction. But when I did an intuitive art drawing, finally, after a couple years of just tongue hanging out for this person, I did this drawing that showed that we were the same galaxy. So my higher self was saying, you are the same. So my first obsession was what I thought was a soulmate. And this turned out to be more of a twin flame situation. And they had referenced even at one point that we are the same. Now, that could be in passing. We never discussed it. But when I did that drawing, I named it "Oh shit," because I finally understood maybe the energetic origin of this. I also communicated with this person astrally, got more clarity of like a 12th dimensional relationship, which is pretty high up there, and that 12th dimensional relationship translated into the physical galaxy, which supported life and everything. So if you can imagine, like, I know this is very far-fetched, even for me, but if you are a galaxy with someone else, right? If you are the being that is the galaxy, and on your planets in there and in your stars, like there's life, there's plants, there's beings, there's lives being lived, incarnations being lived. That's a big bond, right? That's a lot of energy. And it's funny because whenever I was around this person in real life, I was like, everything was blown out. Like literally the people, literally, figuratively, the people standing around. So say we were in a group of 10. Every other person would get lost in a fog of energy and I just wouldn't even see them. And even later, when I would see this person again, a fog would overtake their face and I wouldn't even be able to see them. And it was just like this all the time. It was very enlivening. And if I had to come at it now from a place of being much more whole and healthy, I would say that this person is definitely like a catalyst for creative energy for me. Whenever I come in contact with them now, which is pretty rare and never in person really, I just immediately like write something or draw something or have an inspired idea. And I love that. Like that is awesome. But from where I was when I was younger, and this was like 20 years ago, I didn't have as much perspective on what love is, what love could be, and how you can work with the feeling of love without attaching romantic feelings. I just couldn't make that separation then. And so even though I tried, it just sort of morphed into like, oh, I must be in love with this person. I must want to be with this person. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. And I think in the broader topic of twin flames, that's pretty much always where it goes, right? Like if you have a twin flame relationship or feeling for someone, then you feel like you belong with them, right? You feel like they're yours. And if they don't reciprocate that, then you're called a chaser, right? And they're called, I don't remember what they're called, but they're called something else, the avoider, I don't know. But there's a dynamic of repulsion almost, but that being justified because it's a twin flame relationship. And I've had a lot of clients who have come to me thinking that they are in a twin flame relationship with like a celebrity even, and like that person's writing songs for them, they're leaving cues for them, and they're in love with them, they're having dreams with them, and that it's meant to be and it's destined to be. And I don't think that's ever worked out. Like I don't think that has ever actually panned out. And in my case, right, it did not pan out. Like it did not become a romantic relationship. I think we just all need to broaden. I mean, if we want to, I don't like telling people what to do, but if this is occurring for you, try to think about it from an energetic standpoint and gain a little bit of distance from what it needs to mean here on this planet, in this body, in this lifetime, right? Like you might be highly energetically connected to someone, but still have a boundary on Earth that you're not going to cross. I have that with my ex-husband. Like, you know, I used to say that when we're dead, we'll be friends, right? But in this life, no, because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work out. And same thing with the, you know, twin flame relationship that I thought I had. Like, this is just a person. This is just a person. And anything I thought that they were doing to, communicate with me about certain things, unless I get actual confirmation about that, I need to rethink that, and of course I have a long time ago, but at the time it was just all encompassing and very dramatic and very, very heavy too, even though it came with a lot of really good feelings. We can have those energetic relationships that don't translate to this life, and that's okay. And I think the more we ground ourselves, the more embodied we become with our own higher dimensional energy, the easier that gets. And of course, back then I was trying to do all of that. I was on my way, but I wasn't where I am now, right? Because I've been doing it for 20 more years than I was then. It's been an interesting ride, and I can't say that, like, I'll never have feelings like that again. I have no idea, but it's been long enough now where my life partner relationship has deepened and blossomed enough, so that I'm getting married. And that feels so good. It feels so real. It feels so wonderful. And I don't know, this is a really weird reference, but the show Younger deals with this a little bit. It's almost like who you think you should marry or who you think you're going to marry because of even maybe your fantasy self, but who you end up with might be completely different from that. And like, that's the real relationship. That's the real thing. Love used to be really dramatic for me and really tumultuous and really difficult. And that's often accompanying of a soulmate relationship or a twin flame relationship. And maybe that's to learn lessons. Maybe that's, to grow up, get some experience. I don't think it has to be like that. But I like this version a heck of a lot more. This is safe and secure and fun and adventurous and lovely and all the things. All the things. I've done a lot of talking on love in the past and how differently it's perceived by different people, right? Like, do you say, I love you to your friends? I do, to most of them. Do you feel like you can only love one person, right? Or what is the difference between family love and partner love or friend love? Like, we only have one word. One of my friends told me, like, maybe Russian had more words, or I don't know. There are other languages with more words for friends and family love and all of that. But we also tend to think that another person loving us is what we actually feel. We want to be loved, right? And we think that love comes from someone else, when really, even if someone is shining their love on us, we are the ones creating the feeling and allowing ourselves to feel it. We're just using them as a permission slip to feel it. I did a lot of reading of existential theory these last few months for my psychology degree, and gosh darn it, Eric Fromm, love that guy. The Art of Loving is such a good book. And he talks about how self-love is really the only thing that can save society. And I absolutely 100% agree. So I think that's what saved me, like getting lost in relationships with other people, whether they were predestined or not, whether they were like higher dimensional in origin or not. There was no need for me to lose myself in them, right? And when I started loving myself more and regaining self-confidence, it became really clear what love could be for me and how balanced it could be, how equal it could be, how wonderful and easy and lovely it could be. And I think that is the lesson of my life. I'm personally not of the thought that we are here, like Earth is a school and we're here to learn lessons. I think obviously we're people, we're going to learn by experience, but I don't think any of that is necessary per se. I think we're here to enjoy ourselves, to live our lives, and expand the universe through our experience. But I'm definitely glad that I've had a character arc and that I've had all of these experiences, these three very different experiences with love and what they showed me, and that I'm able to appreciate what I have now so much. I guess we didn't need three parts. I guess I got all of this out in one episode, even though it's a little bit longer than my usual ones. And hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've had similar experiences to this. Let me know if you like having the video version available too, or if me just staring at my desk was boring. Lots and lots of love, everyone. Happy New Year. And if you're here, wherever you are, subscribe. All right, I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.